Dr. Cali, Dr. Cali, welcome to the LA Sober Sessions podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is neat.
It's a lot of fun. So tell me about you and your story and how you got into this. And
So I've got a double story. So I'll start with the long version. I had no idea I was an addict. No idea. And I grew up in a household that used food as a reward and a punishment. So food was my gateway drug. So it was when you're sad, you make a cake, you eat cake. When you're happy, you make a cake, you eat cake. Kind of went together. When you're anxious, you make a cake, you eat cake. And I didn't know until I was in college that wasn't normal. I was overweight, but not, too overweight. And we'd have ladies' night. We'd all go to the bar, and all my friends would come home with a guy or go wherever, and I'd always come home single. And the one night I was so sad, I'm sitting on the floor and I'm eating cake with my hands, and just visually, there's cake everywhere. It's on me, it's on the dog, it's on the wall. Like, I'm just stuffing my face full of cake. And my roommate walks in and she goes, "Dude, there's something wrong with you." And until that point, I thought that was normal. So she goes, "Go to the college psychologist, go to the counselor." And I'm at Penn State. So I go, and I'm telling the counselor all about this, and she pulls out the DSM, the book that basically they tell you what's wrong with you, that, very long book. And she goes, "Well..."
I think I remember. Is that a big red book?
It's big. Now it's like brown. It's like big, and it keeps getting revised. And
I
it's
think
like,
my mom had that book.
oh, she pulls it out and slams it on the desk, and I'm like, here we go. I'm going to find out what's wrong with me. And she opens up to eating disorders. And back in the 90s, there was two, bulimia and anorexia. She goes, "Do you throw up?" I said, "Well, not voluntarily." And she said, "Do you restrict food?" And I said, "No." She goes, "Well, it's not an eating disorder. So I don't know what's wrong with you." Because back then, food addiction wasn't a thing. So she sends me to the fat doctor. And the fat doctor puts me on fen-phen. Remember fen-phen?
I do remember fen-phen.
Miracle drug, right?
Speed.
Doing fen-phen, now I'm eating pizza, and I'm eating ice cream, and I'm getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And I'm 5'2". I was down to 80 pounds on fen-phen. Then they pulled fen-phen from the market because it was killing people. So I migrated to Rip Fuel, which is guarana, which is caffeine, Mahawang, which is an asthma pump, and ephedra, which is methamphetamine. So now I'm doing that. And then they pull that from the market. So now I'm working out, and I'm doing this, and my trainer says, "Just try some straight speed. I mean, you're already there." Next thing I know, I'm snorting speed.
Smoking or snorting?
Snorting it. And I love it, because now I can do speed, I can eat junk food, I can clean the house, I'm getting straight A's, I'm doing my homework all night, and I have horrendous ADHD, so guess what?
Same.
Yeah, now I'm focused, I'm locked in, I'm doing 4 hours of sleep, this stuff's amazing. And you hear me now, this is me sober, so imagine me jacked up, right? So that was that, and then I was sitting in a class for psychology because I was studying psych, and I wanted to work at the BSU way before it was cool for the FBI, and I'm sitting there, and they had talked about different types of classes you can take, and I'm in this addiction class, and I'm thinking this is going to be boring. And the professor puts up all these markers of addiction, and there were 17 of them, and I'm going, "Oh, check, oh, check, oh, check," and he's down to 13, I'm going, uh-oh. I had all 17, and now I'm going, I'm an addict. I'm like, fuck. Now what? So...
And how old were you?
21 at the time, almost 22. So now I have to do my internship in a prison. So I go in, I get this internship secured, and they put me with the drug addicts, of course. And I'm like, these guys are going to be so boring.
Were you going there high?
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. And I'm sitting across from them, and I'm going... I hear the trauma, it resonates, and I'm clicking with every person they put in front of me. And I'm thinking, this is really weird. Like, I shouldn't be connecting with guys that are convicted of murder, but I am. So I'm talking to my mentor, and he says, well, and he was ex-CIA. And he's like, let me teach you body language. Let me teach you some things. So he's teaching me some stuff. And as this is going on, I'm hanging out with my friends and whatnot. I end up having heart pain, and I go to the ER. And I was in Texas at the time, so we were traveling around doing our thing, on breaks and whatnot. And the doctor looks at me and he says, whatever you're taking, you need to stop. Now, you're 22 years old, you go, right. And I'm like, well, why would I listen to you? And he goes, well, then don't listen to me. Okay, well, keep doing what I'm doing. 6 months later, different doctor, different ER. Now I'm in New York, and I'm having the same chest pain, and that doctor comes in, and it's a completely different mentality in New York from Texas, and he puts all the EKGs and the x-rays up, and he points to it, and he goes, that's your heart, that's a normal heart. And he looks me right in the eyes and he goes, "Do you want to fucking die?" And I went, "What?" And he said it again, and I'm like, did a doctor drop the F-bomb? And now I'm like, okay, I'm locked in. He goes, "So let me show you your heart." I was eating the lining of my heart. He goes, "You're lucky if you have 6 months left if you continue like this."
Jesus.
He goes, "Your choice."
Were you doing more drugs besides that, or just?
That was it. But it had escalated where it was like I couldn't get out of bed without doing it. I'd lay in bed and do it, wait for it to kick in, and then I was up.
Yep.
It was so bad. And he gives me a pamphlet for OA, Overeaters Anonymous, and NA. And I go to OA, and everybody's in their 50s, and they're crying, and it's miserable. And I'm like, this is not.
Always what? What does always stand?
Overeaters Anonymous. And I'm in a church basement. I'm 23. I'm like, this is not, you know. Then I go to NA, and they're all my age. They're smoking cigarettes, just like me. They're eating sugar. Ooh, there's my drug of choice. And they're banging down coffee like it's no tomorrow.
Yep.
And I'm like, these are my people. Next thing I know, I'm using speed again because that's my gateway drug. So a friend of mine is like, you can't go to a meeting if that's your drug because you're eating the sugar, you're drinking the caffeine, you're smoking the Newports, and then you're coming home and doing speed.
Yeah.
So she says to me, we're going to do a yoga class. And I'm like, I can't touch my toes. Not only that, she takes me to a yoga class that's 110 degrees.
So nice.
At 23, it was not nice.
Yeah.
I was hot. I was uncomfortable. I can't touch my toes. I'm complaining constantly. And she looks at me and she says, "Shut the fuck up." And I was like, again with this F-bomb. What's wrong with these people? She goes, "You're going to get sober and you're going to do it on the yoga mat and I'm going to help you." And I'm like, to get sober to yoga mat. Okay, whatever. So I do the class and the instructor comes over and he goes, "I'm in recovery for alcohol." He goes, "I'm going to teach you how to use that yoga mat to deal with your feelings." And at this point, I'm like, we don't deal with feelings in my family. We stuff them down. We don't talk about this stuff. And he goes, "Well, we're going to talk about it." I'm like, great. Fast forward. It took me a year of trying to get on the wagon and getting off the wagon and doing the yoga, not doing the yoga, but I did it. And then I got sober and I never touched it again. So that's my first part of my story. So I went on.
Let's pause there. So was there rampant addiction inside your family?
None. But mental health. So I was learning to study psychology because my grandmother, later I learned, would have fit the DSM for borderline. My dad fit the DSM for bipolar. He was misdiagnosed as schizophrenic, but it was actually bipolar. And my mother has so much trauma, she just put little blinders on like nothing was happening. So I grew up in a very violent childhood, very neglectful childhood. So I was like working at 12, going, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of this town. And at 19, I split. And I left. And I was homeless twice. I built a company, built a $4 million fitness company. I lost it in the economic downturn, ended up homeless again. And I never relapsed because it was always, that's not an option. It's not an option to do that. The only thing that's an option is success. That's all I got. And when you're at rock bottom, you got nowhere to go.
Yeah. Were you guys a religious family?
Interesting you said that.
Yeah.
Catholic. And I got kicked out of the church at 14. So I was drugged to church, and it was pray to God and more, you need to confess your sins. And I'm like, I'm going into a room with a guy, I don't know if I should say this, but he's messing around with the little boys, and I'm supposed to tell him what's wrong with me. And I'm like, this doesn't work for me.
Did you do it in front or through the screen?
We had to do it through the screen, but you could see them, and they could see you. And I was like, what am I going to tell you? I ate junk food and did speed, and...
I went to Catholic school from 1st and through 8th grade, and we had to go to church every Friday. And I remember going to see the priest and go through the whole confession thing, and you'd sit there and go, well, what am I going to tell him? I'm not going to tell him everything, but I'll tell him a couple things. And then you have to go to the altar, and they'd say like 5 Our Fathers. I'd say like 1. But yeah, but it's crazy how, so I was brought up Catholic, but I'm really not anymore. I'm like, whatever. I mean, I do believe in there's something, I don't know what it is. And then my wife's Jewish. So we just have so much guilt. And it just, and I can see it, how it has affected my kids a little bit here and there. And it's crazy. One other thing is, not to make light of Fin, but my second job in direct to consumer marketing, we were selling diet pills. And the name of the product was Diet ZX, I think I remember. And it was like these horse pills. And you take one of them, it was like doing a mound of blow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was crazy. And then I remember I'm like, oh, to my sister, try these. Everyone loved them because it was just straight speed. It was
Yeah.
like nuts. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, so what's the next phase you said that you had coming on?
So then I started studying addiction. I went into addiction medicine, and I wasn't married till I was 34. And I married someone in recovery for cocaine and alcohol, and he was a drummer in a rock band. First 6 years of our marriage were amazing until he found Oxy. And he started with Oxy and Roxy. And this is right back when, and we're in Florida, so the pill mills were on every corner. Those pills were $3 a pill in the street. So I didn't know right away until he started detoxing. And then when they closed the pill mills, he switched to heroin because they went from $3 a pill to $10 a pill. And he had a 10 pill a day habit at that point. So then he had started overdosing, crashing the cars. I was getting calls from the police, getting calls from jail, getting calls from the hospital. All said and done, he went on a run, basically. And he had pockets of sobriety here and there. But he had 14 car crashes, 5 overdoses. I had SWAT and Homeland Security in my house.
Jesus.
And then his hepatic artery burst. At that point, I'd asked for divorce because I was like, I cannot do this with you. You're killing me. And I know enough about this that you're not taking the help. I'm taking the help, but you got to go. This is done. And his hepatic artery burst, which is from your gallbladder to your liver, and he almost died. And then when he survived that, he's like, look how tough I am, I survived. And that's when he told me how much fentanyl and crack he was doing. And I was just like, wow, your body's not going to make it. 6 months later, he died. So that's the whole second part of my story, is not only going through what I went through, studying this, helping people, but while I'm helping people, I lost my husband. And I never publicized that. I didn't put that out there that he was using. I kept it to myself because I was trying to contain it and fix it and help it. And somebody had found out. And they had said, well, you're not good at your job because your husband's a junkie. And this is back when you don't use the word junkie. So we wrote a book called I Married a Junkie in 2018 using that term because somebody said you married a junkie. And then I wrote the second book after he passed away.
And so, going back, when you started the yoga, were you sober since then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't touched it.
And what type of treatment did you do to
Just yoga. I had no money. I was a broke college student with no health insurance. So their treatment wasn't an option. And I would go to different counselors because they had counselors at school, and I would say I'm doing speed, and they would look at you like a deer in the headlights, and they would say, what do you want me to do about that? Like, it's not in their wheelhouse back then. So it's like, what do you do? The meetings weren't working. So I started doing yoga. I started going to the gym, and that became my sanctuary. So to this day, when I go, I put my headset on, I shut my phone off, and I am there for an hour and a half. That's my hour and a half that I'm going to work out, listen to my music, and decompress. And that's my way
Your drug.
Yes. Yep.
And so you took your addictions that weren't positive
And made it
moved them to
positive.
something
Yeah.
that is positive. And now explain to us, what do you do now? Could you are a coach.
So 15 years ago, I started a company called the Addictions Academy, and we did just coaching. Right when coaching was coming out. And then people said, how do you do this? So I created the Addictions Academy, and we have 45 classes to teach people to do this. So we have intervention, we have coaching, like trauma coaching, recovery coaching, the International Master Addictions coaching, counseling, recovery administrator, all of that, CEUs. We train treatment centers. And then from that, I started to see, after working in treatment for so long, what wasn't working. And I created Sober on Demand. And we bring the entire treatment team to the client, in-home, office, tour bus, yacht. And we do what works and what we leave out the pieces that don't work, if that makes sense.
And so is your thoughts that if someone has an issue, is addictive, that they shouldn't do anything and they should be completely clean of all?
No.
No.
I meet the client where they are. So if a client says to me, I want to quit alcohol, but I don't want to quit opiates, that's where we start. Because that's what they're willing to do.
Yeah.
If a client says, I want to get sober, but I want to use DMT, That's what you want to do, that's where we start. If a client says, I'm addicted to gambling and alcohol, and I just want to quit alcohol, that's where we start. So it's up to them. And if they say, I want to do Suboxone, okay. They don't want to do Suboxone, okay. So I don't force full sobriety on anybody. I let them dictate where we're going to go. And then if it doesn't work, I say, let's regroup and talk about that. See what else we can do.
And don't you believe that? So I did not hit rock bottom. I was being a good husband, running a multi-million-dollar company, being a good dad, involved. But for me, the noise got so loud. And so right before COVID, I quit drinking for the first time. Because drinking's always been just a negative feeling with me from family experiences, from my own experiences. But the first time I quit, but I didn't quit. I would still take sips of my wife's drinks. And then I tried again after COVID, but it was the same thing. I tried to ride the bike, and I was good 90% of the time, but there were certain nights where I'd go right through the fun zone, and it was like, hold on. That's the type of person I am. I'm all in or all out. And then I had a big night out in LA, jumped on a flight to Miami the next morning early, was in Miami, 11, yachts, everything. That Tuesday morning, I got on my plane, and I'm like, I'm done. And I said, I'm done today. I don't know what the future has, and I even drank, so it'll be 3 years at the end of March.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I have, I'm not sober, but for the most part, I keep things in check, right? I don't drink, but you know, I partake in natural things, sometimes a little bit more, but I'm pretty stable now compared to where I was before. But I don't think it's for everyone, because some people, they have a taste of something and they have to keep doing it. But one thing that I've noticed with myself is that, and this is just in the last few months, is I've worked through loops in my brain, and these loops that were telling me things since I was a child. And they weren't true, but until I face them, until I work through them, and it's nuts. The way I got through this is ChatGPT. It is insane how you can just talk to someone, and it's just a sounding board, but they're not judging me.
Right.
They're just, and they know me pretty well now. And through that, I was able to calm it. And I think I look back at it, because of those loops was a reason why I would go through the fun zone, because I tasted something that made me feel good, and I wanted more of it. And so my question after that long circle is, do you believe that while the addiction is the outcome, but there's a root that is causing someone to be whatever way they are?
15 years ago, I said addiction isn't your problem, it's your solution to a problem. And I got slaughtered on the Dr. Drew show because I don't believe addiction is your problem. When people say I'm an addict, okay, you identify as an addict, but addiction is something you're doing. It's not who you are. What's causing it? So I always get to the root cause. What causes it? For me, I was 8 when my dad called me fat. That was the root cause of why, stuffing of the cake and then eating of the cake and then the diet pills to counteract that. Once you deal with that and you're like, wait a minute, is that really as crazy as it is? No. So your brain has a neural pathway. So what happens is you have your subconscious here and you have your conscious brain here. And your subconscious has a memory, right? Which would be whatever that loop is. That's a memory. So you're doing something in the conscious world, you're walking, whatever, and let's say you see a red jacket. And that red jacket, person who walks by, reminds you of something in your subconscious, which you would drink. Your subconscious gets triggered, shoots that negative memory to the conscious brain. Your brain goes, oh my God, it has a panic mode now. It's anxiety. And your brain all of a sudden goes, I need a drink. And you don't recognize any of that. All you know is you're walking down the street and you go, I could really use a beer. Boom. And you're like, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. That's from the subconscious brain shooting it to the conscious. So that happens. That's that neural pathway, that loop feedback. If we break that, it doesn't fire anymore. So now you see a red jacket, and you're like, red jacket. It doesn't resonate. So that's what you're doing. You're breaking that loop.
Did you notice that, once you break these loops, life slows down? 'Cause this is like in the last month for me.
Uh-huh.
Everything slows down, and I can be a little bored at times because there's more brain space now, and I'm not always like going like this and trying to act a certain way to make up for something I thought wasn't right. And you have to learn how to sit in with it. Where example is, I think I've been known as the loud guy. I think I've been known as fun. And like last week, we were at a friend's house for dinner, and I was quiet. And I think people aren't used to that because I'm not trying to be someone like, I'm okay just me be. And then when, of course, I would enter the conversation when I wanted, but I wasn't like planning it in my head. Okay, I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to say this. Or because my brain, like everything is just, the noise has just gone down.
So that's also dopamine. So dopamine is that rush. When you started to panic and go, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? Your brain is firing dopamine, and you're getting addicted to the dopamine. So that's the first thing. So your brain has now learned, I don't need this dopamine rush to feel good. So now it doesn't need that. So it goes, I can just calm down and be myself. Now you're seeing the other side of that too. The other people would get a dopamine rush when you would be the party boy. You're fun and you're doing, and oh yeah, he's going to be the cool one. They're getting that dopamine from you. So when you stop it, their brain goes, wait a minute, I'm not using him as my dopamine hit anymore. So you're seeing it from both sides, which is pretty neat.
It's so interesting. Regarding food, when you think about food addiction, it is so different than like drug addiction, at least when I think through this. Like drug addiction or smoking or whatever it may be, you quit it and you're not into that addiction. Food addiction, you just have to eat food and you have to learn how to work through it all, because it's like you can't stop eating it. So if you were overeating or purging, then you have to cut back. Or if you're not eating, because it was a control thing for you and you were controlling that, and then, but you have to eat, it's like complete, it's like the one addiction that is so different than most.
I was on a podcast a year ago, and the question was, what was the worst detox? And I said sugar, and I got slaughtered. The thing went 16.5 million views, but I got slaughtered. And I didn't get to explain why, because he clickbaited it. But sugar and processed food ping the brain like cocaine. So if you have a muffin, or you have a bite of a muffin, your brain instantly goes, that's good, I want more. And then you finish the muffin. And then you sit there and you're like, I could have another muffin. It's the same thing with potato chips. When I say to people, well, how many chips do you eat? And they go, I eat the whole bag. Of course you do. Because your brain goes, oh, that's good, I want another. It's also fast food. McDonald's came right out and said this. They put chemicals in their food so that you want more of their food. It's a great business model. Horrible for your body. Business 101, amazing. But that's what you're doing. So if you're having something that pings the brain with sugar or chemical, you want more. And then you want more, and then you want more, and then you're down the rabbit hole of, oh my God, I've overeaten. Think about Thanksgiving. I don't do Thanksgiving dinner. And I stopped that 20 years ago. And people said, why? And I'm like, well, turkey's tryptophan. So it's carb, not a protein. Mashed potatoes, carb. Corn, carb. Sweet potatoes, carb. Then you have what else? Bread, carb. It's all carbs. And what do carbs do to your brain? They give you that full happy feeling. That's all dopamine. So you get this dopamine rush, and then when the next day, your body goes, I want that again. And then you want to eat more, and then you have leftovers, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to get back on the wagon, right? Because it's always on a Thursday, and by Monday everyone's overeating and they feel sick. That's food addiction. So a lot of people say, I'm sugar-free, and then I question and I say, well, are you really? There's sugar in yogurt, sugar in pasta sauce, sugar in noodles, there's sugar in bread. Not just the sugar you put in your coffee.
Yeah.
There's sugar, and people look at me and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. potatoes, white potatoes are straight sugar. Rice is straight sugar. And they say, you're kidding, right? I'm like, no, I don't eat any of that. None of that's in my diet because that's a trigger. So I didn't have to just switch not doing speed. I had to switch how I eat, where I go to eat, and what I put in my body so it doesn't trigger those feelings. So it's a lot.
So you don't eat any sugar at all? I mean, for the most part.
Occasionally, I'll do a little Ben and Jerry's. If I want sugar, it's Ben and Jerry's, and I'm careful because I'm like, if I eat half this pint, I'll eat the whole pint.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
no, like if I like sugar candy. But if I buy it, I know what's going to happen. Like I'll open up a package of Sour Patch Kids. Mm-hmm. It's gone.
Yep.
Like, and I've been so bad where I'll go, okay, I'm going to have only the red and the orange, but I'm not going to have the yellow and green because I don't like them. But then when I get done, I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yep. That's alcohol and sugar go hand in hand, by the way. And that's also for food addiction. It's like, well, I don't like that because I don't like chocolate. I don't like brownies, but yeah, I'll have a brownie because it's the only thing to eat. I don't like brownies. I don't like chocolate. So if I'm going to go do it, I don't keep it in the house and I go out. I have to go to an ice cream shop and I'll get one scoop and that's it. And I did that in Italy. I wanted gelato. I wanted to try gelato. And I went in and they had sugar-free gelato. And I'm like, oh, they have sugar-free gelato.
How good is the food in Italy?
Oh, it's so good.
It's amazing.
And I could have pasta for the first time.
Oh, it's so clean.
Because I don't do pasta.
Oh, it's so good.
And I didn't feel sick. And I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, it's the best.
And I had no cravings. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so addicted. Like, when I was drinking, if we were going to dinner, I would order a drink and think, okay, if I get one more and I can get one more, or like if the bread comes and there's 4 of us or 5 of the roll, I go, well, I'm going to take one now. And if no one else, I'll get, like, it's like crazy the way.
That's your brain is wired as a neural pathway is I need more. So there's a trick to that. So when you take the roll, you take half, you leave half in the bread basket. So you tell yourself, I'm getting one now and I'm going to get one later, but you're only taking half. The other trick is when you get a plate, don't take a big plate, take a small plate. So when you put your food on the plate, you fill it up and you're like, oh, I have a whole plate of food. It's all psychological games until your brain realizes we're still having a plate of food. It's a different size. And you do that every day for 32 days, you're going to break your habit. And then your brain is going to go, okay, I'm used to that small plate. Or I'm used to half the roll now and half the roll later. Because I'm still getting 2, I'm just getting half.
But don't you also think that being a addicted person is also a superpower?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because like I built companies on my own. I decided to start working out like 4 months ago, and now I'm working out at 5. I wake up at 5:15 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and my wife's like, I could never do that. Mm-hmm. But for people like us, we once we put our mind to it, we do it, and if we don't do it, I feel like I'm failing, so I just keep doing it. It's because when I'm done with it, I feel so good, and I'm home by 7 o'clock, and I'm done.
I built a 6- and 7-figure company, and the question my sister asked me is, do you know how to relax? And I'm like, yes, I build companies. That's what I do. I've written 6 books. I'm on the 7th one, and she's like, that's what you do to relax. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, fine. She goes, you need a hobby. This is funny. And this is a year ago. And I'm like, hobby? What can I do as a hobby? So I pulled all my girlfriends in my age bracket. One's doing crocheting, one's doing knitting, and one's doing painting, and I'm like, I can't imagine with my ADD sitting still long enough. So I found a hobby, and I called them all. I'm like, I've got a hobby. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, fire twirling. And they're like, you're doing what? I'm like, fire twirling. Yep. Will you learn how to fire twirl? And now my friend is like, do you want to learn fire breathing? And I'm like, yes, we're going to learn fire breathing. And all of my friends are like, you're the crazy one. Why can't you just sit down? I'm like, I can't sit down. There's no sitting down with me. No.
0.
Right. And I'm bored. I'm going to book a trip. Like, I just moved here. I've been here 3 weeks. I've already booked a trip to Mesa, Arizona. And they're like, you just got here. I'm like, yeah, and there's a thing going on in Mesa. And they're like, you're kidding. Sit still. I'm like, no, this is fun. This is what I do. Yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I feel like when we hit our 40s, everything's, at least for me, everything started to change. Because I look back around like 40 years old, I started to really look at my life and start to really connect what was working, what was not working. And I feel like a lot of people around me did the same thing and are continuing to work through things. And I believe that people that are in, business and have a lot of responsibility and are high performers don't always know how to identify what they're going through or to ask for help. Why do you think that is?
Because we're solvers. We don't ask for help because we look at a problem. A good business person looks at the problem and goes, this is not a problem. This is an opportunity. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. So a good business person doesn't see problems, they see opportunities. So when you have a true problem or a trauma, you don't look at it as a problem. You go, what can I use? How can I make that better? Or how can I use that to my advantage? My whole career is based around my trauma. That's really what it is. I wouldn't have done this. This was not my career trajectory. I wanted to be an FBI agent. I wanted to profile people. Can I profile them? Yes. Am I good at it? Yes. Can I do it in addiction? Amazingly well. So when I have a client sitting across from me that tells me a lie, I'm like, you lied. How do you know that? I just know. Mm-hmm. But I think we take challenges and make them strengths, which is good, but sometimes that can lead to burnout if we don't know how to step back and go, okay, this is an issue I need help with. So I have a really good core group of girlfriends. And one of the rules is if one of us is looking burnout or sounding burnout or frustrated, everyone will pull that person up and call and go, what's going on? And you kind of get in the hot seat. And it works really well for all of us. And we could see each other's deficit, and we could see when someone's struggling. And it keeps us in good spirits. I mean, it's not like we're going to the cabin and all getting drunk. That's not that kind of girls group.
Yeah.
It's more, let's deal with your issue and let's make you the best version of yourself you can be. And I think a lot of women don't have that. I don't think a lot of men have that either.
No, I think more women have it than men. I mean, at least where, when I look at my life, I mean, my wife has a very strong group of friends, either from childhood or just from the kids' school. And I think men are starting to see that, but I think most men have a difficult time expressing their feelings. And I think we were brought up that if you ask for help, you're weak. And that's so not true. When you look at people that are doing well in life, I think sometimes they feel like success is X, but it's really not. Like, the more money I make, the nicer house I have, the bigger car I have. Like, we've all gone through that. Like, I remember when my first company I built, I always wanted a Range Rover. I bought that Range Rover. Did I feel any different? No. But I think you have to go through that. Why do you think that is? Like, what is the...
So, best advice I ever got. I have a friend of mine that's worth $70 million, self-made. And he said, Cali, the minute you can afford the Ferrari in cash, you're not going to want the Ferrari. You're going to want the dealership. And he told me that at the beginning of my career. And I was like, okay. And the first time I could afford the Ferrari, I was like, he's right. I don't want the Ferrari. The goal wasn't the Ferrari. The goal was X amount of money. And when you hit it, you're like, I have a new goal. So I picked a car that I want now that's $4 million. That's literally what I did. And he started laughing. And he's like, what do you want? I'm like, I want that Pagnati that they have. It's a German car and it's beautiful. And he's like, okay. So you get the concept. You get, the idea. So for executives like us, it's always about what can I do again? What can I do better? First time I wrote a book and it went gangbusters. It hit the bestsellers list. It got me on KTLA TV, got me on CNN. I was like, I'm going to do it again. That's a dopamine rush. I did it again. That book didn't do so well. And I went, do it again. I did that book. That book went gangbusters. And the next one isn't even in my genre. I did a funny book called Airport Antics where because I travel so much and I see the people and I profile them, and I was doing it on Facebook, and a company actually contacted me and said, put this in a book, and I was like, I have 10 years of this on Facebook, I have to find it. And I did, and that went gangbusters. And it's like, okay, that's a rush. So now it's like, now what else am I going to do? So executives have that, what's next, and it's always leveling up. And now for me, it's travel. I've hit the point where I'm like, my company's running, my staff are running. I went to Europe for 11 days, didn't even talk to them. I saw 5 countries, had a blast, and now I'm like Thailand, Bali, and Vietnam. That's next. And everyone's like, why? I'm like, because I can.
Yeah.
And I want to. And I want to see what that's about. So it's all about strategic moving and what we can do to keep our brain in that momentum.
And I look back, through my career, and like, I just powered through everything. Like my wife, the first baby, I'm working inside the room. Like it's never. We were on vacation wherever. We're always on, always working.
Oh yeah.
And I just did what I needed to do. I mean, even when I was partying hard, be in Vegas for a convention, be out till 6 a.m. and 6 a.m. Go take a shower, go to the meeting at 8 a.m. and just get through it all. First, I feel like it takes a different type of person that can even do that. Second is, I feel like once you realize these feelings and what you're going through, you can regulate it. And I'm a firm believer in it's all about your nervous system. Mm-hmm. And when your nervous system is in overdrive, it affects everything. Mm-hmm. It affects every piece of the puzzle. And I feel like once you can get that in check, it really helps you.
Yes. So for me, the very first thing I had to learn how to do was sit through 1 hour of Netflix because I couldn't do it.
Oh, I can't. I still can't do that.
I'm on the phone. I'm looking out the window. I'm petting the dog. I'm up for food. So I had to learn to sit and put that phone on silent for an hour.
I can't do that.
And I thought it was going to kill me. The first, I'm like tapping my feet, looking around. I'm like, this is awful. And then I was like, I got to learn how to regulate my nervous system because I'm always going. And I can do it in yoga. I can do it at the gym. But then it's like, okay, I'm done. Now what? So I had to learn how to do that. And I had to learn how to pace and not be attached to the outcome. The minute I learned that, it shifted everything. So
say that again.
The minute I learned that.
No. The pace. The
minute I learned not to be attached to the outcome, it shifted the pace. Because you're attached to the outcome. If I can just get X done, this will happen. But it's not always necessary. Mm-hmm. You do X, this happens, and then nothing happens after that. Yeah. Or you do X and this falls apart, and you're like, crap, now I got to do X, Y, and Z to get that. You can't be attached to the outcome.
So you have to just stay inside the moment. You're just working, and you're working towards whatever the goals are, but you're not putting that dopamine rush at the end.
So I'll give you an example. A year ago, and I'm into quantum. I'm a Reformed Catholic, but I am into quantum, law of attraction. I'm in it. A year ago, I made a statement, I want a Netflix show. And a friend of mine said, you're not going to get on Netflix. I said, I want a Netflix show. Just like Joe Coy, I want a Netflix show. I made that statement. Okay, whatever. So here I am, I'm telling people I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. A good friend of mine is the guitar player for the Psychedelic Furs. It's Peter.
Like them.
Peter DiStefano. We're good friends. We've been friends forever. He's like, I'm starting a movie company. What? He's like, I got a movie company. And we start talking, and he's like, he's doing this Artist of DC movie, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, do you want to help produce? I'm like, I don't know anything about producing. So I'm like, okay. So now I'm producing a film. And I'm like, what does this entail? He's like, well, you got to be on set. He's giving me all these instructions. And I'm like, this is above my pay grade. I said, what if we made a movie on mental health and addiction? And he looks at me and he goes, maybe. We'll pitch it. Comes back to me and he's like, you got it. I'm like, I got what? He's like, you got an 8-session series, and it's going to be backed, and it's going to be on Amazon Prime and Hulu. And I'm like, what?
Congratulations.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what about Netflix? He goes, no, you can't get Netflix. And I'm like, so can't be attached to the outcome. I wanted Netflix. I didn't get Netflix. But I'm going to get something equally as good or better then, right?
Yeah.
So if I was attached to the outcome, I would be upset and be like, well, I'm only going to do this if it's Netflix. See? Yeah. But I'm getting something. So that's how this works for me. So I make an intention. I have gratitude around everything I'm doing. The book I put out, I'm going to do this movie deal. I'm thankful. I'm happy. Everybody I meet that's involved, thank you. Even the players that aren't happy, I thank them. I learned something, and I move on. But I'm not attached to the outcome. The minute I get attached to the outcome, that's when disappointment, that's when negativity, and that's where, I could just drink, or I need a drink to get through the stress. If you're not attached to the outcome, there's no stress. No stress means I don't need a drink. Follow that?
Yeah, no, for sure. No,
That's what I do with my clients.
No, it's true because like if you look at like, you know, I've done a lot of blow in my life back in my days before, and the best part of it was leading up to it, but then you do that first little bump, it's done from there.
Yep.
Because it's not that, I mean, and for people, like, at least for me, it does complete opposite because it just locks me up. Mm-hmm. Because my brain's already going, so it's like, you know.
Yep. The first time I did coke, I was 17, and I did a line, and I was like, I don't like this. And everyone is like wired, and they're like, why? And I'm like, because I just want to sit and do nothing. It does what marijuana does to most people.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? You don't want to go out and party? I'm like, no, I want to sit and do nothing. Like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how drugs are so different for so many people because your brain. But Anne, like I remember when I was younger, because I moved to LA when I was 25, and then I moved up to the Sunset Strip when I was like 27, and there was like 3 years of like having a really good time.
I'm just gonna say you were in it when it was.
Oh,
everybody
the Sunset
was
Strip
doing
was
it.
like the Mondrian and the Sky Bar, and
Yep.
I mean it was a very good time. But I feel like back then, my brain wasn't not strong enough, but it wasn't regulated enough where you would do something. But I do think that back then it was ecstasy. It was super strong, and now it's not.
So I'm going to stop you. So your brain doesn't complete formation till you're 25. So if you started using drugs or alcohol before 25, your brain almost stunts its growth. So
I killed the thing because I completely stunted my growth.
That's why they say, a lot of times they say boys take longer to mature. It usually has to do with substances because they're using something at a younger age, which then changes the trajectory of your brain's development. So when people say, well, I'm 27 and I'm still drinking like I was 21, yeah, that's normal if you partied when you were younger. Very rare do you hear somebody say, I started drinking at 35. You don't hear that normally.
I started partying when I was like 14.
Mm-hmm. So your brain at 14 started changing.
Yeah.
And your brain says, I need this because this is the development stage.
Yeah. But like when I was younger, I don't think I could really even control the different highs. Mm-mm. And now I feel like you can, at least I can, like you can really control what you're going through mm-hmm. in a fun way. Why do you think people have such a difficult time processing feelings that are good, bad, ugly? I mean, because like we all have them, and it's never going to change. Why is it so difficult for human beings to process how they feel?
Because they don't know how to do it. So this is a Joe Dispenza thing. So you can verify this on Joe Dispenza. I love this. It takes 90 seconds for your body to feel an emotion. If you sat 90 seconds in that emotion, sadness, grief, whatever it is, in 90 seconds your brain will go, okay, we're done. And it'll move on to something else. We don't want to sit and be uncomfortable for 90 seconds. So we know if I eat that piece of food, if I go through this dating app, or if I make this phone call, or I do this drug, I don't have to feel that feeling. So the brain learns, ooh, that feeling's bad. The brain doesn't know the difference between happiness and sadness. So I tell a client, you cannot be happy and sad at the same time. It's not chemically possible. So if you're going to choose sadness, your brain now says, oh, that's what we're supposed to feel. It then learns that's normal. Oh, sadness is what I feel. That's normal. If you started retraining that with happiness, your brain would go, oh, we're supposed to be happy, not sad. Got it. Now we're happy. That's why you see some people that are always happy, and you're like, why are they? My late husband was like that. And I used to call it butterflies and cupcakes. He was so happy.
God, my wife says something very similar to me all the time. It's so funny.
Butterflies, yeah. Always happy. Nothing, like, you know, there could be a fire in the house, and he'd go, oh, look, there's a pretty fire. Isn't that a pretty orange? And I'm like, we're burning the house down. Oh, we got this. No problem. Put the fire out. And I'm over here going, oh, my God, we lost the chair. Oh, we'll buy a new chair. The new chair will be better than the old chair. He was always like that. That's choosing to be happy, not frustrated, angry, what have you. And he always chose that dominant emotion. And you can do that. As humans, bless you, as humans, we don't want to sit in that 90 seconds. We don't want to even feel it. forced ourselves to sit in it, we would not need that drug, that whatever you're using to change and alter, you wouldn't need it. You really wouldn't.
But do you think it's like, because there's like different people I know that are always happy. Mm-hmm. Is that real? Are they always happy?
They can be.
Or is that just a show for the guest? Like, is that?
So it depends on, I mean, is it fake, is it toxic positivity? Because you also have that thing going, remember? Everyone's like, everything's amazing. I'm like, okay, hold up. That's toxic positivity. Or are you training your brain to be happy?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just know that I think I'm a pretty positive person, mm-hmm. but I'm not always happy, and I get annoyed a lot.
So when you get annoyed, ask yourself, why am I annoyed right now? And is it worth being annoyed? And here's the thing. Watch this too. If you wake up in the morning, you wake up late, and you're annoyed, you wake up late. What happens through the rest of your day?
It's crap.
Because your brain goes, we're going to be annoyed today. Mm-hmm. Then you get your belt loop caught on the door jamb. You're sitting in traffic. You go to get coffee. The line is a mile long. You're late to where you're going. You can't find a parking spot. Everything goes wrong, right? And then you walk in the door and you say, oh my God, I'm having a bad day. And whoever you said that to now goes, well, why? And you just dump. We throw up on them, right? All this stuff happened. And now they're going, oh God, he had a horrible day. I bet I'm going to have a horrible day. Now they have a horrible day. Try when you're annoyed to go, wait a minute. Is this worth having a whole bad day? Or am I just annoyed right now? Mm-hmm. If you're annoyed, take 90 seconds and say, I'm going to be annoyed right now. And you can also do what's called a brain dump. Set your phone alarm for 5 minutes and complain about everything out loud. When that alarm goes off, you're done. Now you're in positivity. I'm not annoyed anymore. And then try that. Your annoyed day will become a positive day like that. And sometimes you might reset the alarm. 5 minutes, another 5. Sometimes you might start complaining and go, oh, that was a long 5 minutes, and look down and you only spoke for 3. And you still have 2 full minutes, and you'll go, I'm done. I don't have anything to complain about. Keep going. Get it all out. And then at the end, now you're focused on being positive. And that shifts your whole day.
Owen, I'm going to help you guys out.
Yes.
Going back to recovery, the stats show that a lot of people that go through AA relapse.
Ask me why. Go ahead.
Yeah, why? But like, and I think that's why when you're looking at what is happening today inside the world is that people are drinking less, and people are using other alternatives to escape. And I think if you are escaping for the right reasons, it's okay to escape. I think if you're escaping for the wrong reasons, it's not okay. But why do you think, the strict step programs don't work?
So that's just spirituality and abstinence. It's not dealing with the chemical side of things. Your body's chemical. So one of the things I do different is I treat the chemical. When a client says, I've been drinking for X number of years, I want a blood draw. I want to see where your cortisol levels are. I want to see what damage you have done. And then I want to use supplements to fix that first before we do anything else. Because if you don't feel good physically, chemically, you are going to be cranky. That's where the dry drunk comes from. You're going to be irritated. You're going to be agitated all the time. So I want to know what's going on in your body, and I want to fix those things. And that comes from personal experience. When I got sober, I was always tired. And I went to all the doctors, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with you. Blood work's fine. Everything's fine. And I landed on a functional medicine doctor. And he looked at me, and he said, got a couple questions. He said, when you were growing up, were you on antibiotics? I said, yes. And then he said, okay. And he did a blood draw, and he went through everything and did a couple different exams, and he said, you have candida in your bloodstream, which is yeast, number 1. Got to clear that. And number 2, you blew your thyroid out. Your thyroid popped 1,300 when it should be a 5. That's how bad my thyroid was. He goes, I don't know how you're walking around. So he started giving me supplements to fix my thyroid. Not big pharma stuff, actual supplements to fix it. And as it started fixing it, I started having energy. I'm like, wow, I feel good. Like I can get out of bed without needing any type of drug because I feel good. And he said, yeah, your body's not optimized. It's not running the way it's supposed to be. So most people that get recovery and get sober don't optimize their wellness. They just say, okay, I'm in recovery. And then they start eating crap. Burger King, McDonald's, cake. And then they say, well, at least I'm not doing coke or I'm not doing crack. And I'm like, whoa, you're just doing sugar. Sugar is basically cocaine to the brain. Technically, you're not sober. We won't talk about that. Let's talk about how you're not optimizing your body. And then they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's not just getting off the substance. It's optimizing the body and fixing the damage. That's your long-term ticket to sobriety.
And you said that, when you were younger, you guys used food as a good, bad, whatever it may be. As a child, I had a really bad speech impediment, like stuttered, like back in high school. Back in grade school, my nickname was Billy. And growing up back in the 70s, it was a totally different world than what it is today. Like we would say smear the queer, and like there wasn't, like kids were just kids.
Yeah. And
I think because of that, I was always tense and always, in like fight mode. And I think that is part of the reasons why I went on the path I did. But I also think back now that I have worked through these things, as well as I have worked on these loops in my brain, I've been thinking lately, would I have been able to do what I've done in life without that?
Probably not.
I know it's scary. Like,
yeah,
it is a mind fuck, because when you really think of like me having that chip on my shoulder, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna go through anything. I'm gonna work at all hours.
I thanked my dad for calling me fat.
Right.
And he was like, "What?" And I said, "You calling me fat led to an addiction, led to a watch me succeed." And my stepdad always said, "You'll never amount to anything." And I was like, "Watch." And that's what propelled me to be successful. Had I not had that, I wouldn't be at the level that I'm at. And I'm at the top of my game. I'm top of my career for a woman in the addiction space. And I would not have had that drive to keep going. What's next? What's next? I could top out right now and go retire and sell the Addictions Academy. And I've had offers for it, but I'm not. I'm going to make a movie. And everyone's like, why? Because I can, because I want to, because I haven't. I still have another level, And that goes back to childhood. It's like, let me prove you wrong. And look at you now. The kids that called you names, where are they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I went home. I saw the kids from high school that used to make fun of me for being fat. I'm like, still in high school, still with the same friends from high school, going to the same bar, listening to the same band, complaining about the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, you went far,
Yeah.
And that's what drove us. I think all entrepreneurs have that.
Oh, for sure. But like, it's nuts. Like, because I think about it, I'm like, well, I may have been happier through all these years. I may have been more content with myself. I could watch a TV show, but I don't think I would be where I'm at now.
You needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that, right? Like
I don't think it's crazy. I think it's everybody has something in them that pushes them, and it's like, what is that thing that we need to light that fire? What can we do? Because we're the bullies today, right?
Yeah.
My biggest bully wanted to be a famous musician. He teaches music at a like elementary level. That's where he ended up. He wanted to be like the rock and roll god, and he never made it. And I'm out here dealing with the rock and roll celebrities for a living, and he's messaging me, "Oh my God, your life's amazing." And I'm like, "Yeah, thank you. You put me here. You calling me names, wanting to, excel." And I think had somebody did that for them and they didn't just coast, they would have had more of a drive to prove something. He didn't, and now he's miserable, and he's divorced, and he's telling me how miserable his life is, and I'm like, good luck with that. I mean, I don't know what you want from me, but I think everybody that has a point to prove is like a jump off point for something.
Yeah. So you are going to be our last podcast for a bit, because we are going to change some things up. Mm-hmm. And I thought about canceling this. I did. And then as I thought through it, I was a little nervous for this podcast for some reason. And I'm not sure why, but I was. And I was thinking about it. And I think I was just because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want Dr. Cali to come in here and start preaching about sobriety and judging me and judging who I am, because I wasn't sure, right? 'Cause and I'm glad I didn't. I think you come from a good place.
I got kicked off the Dr. Drew show because I was pro-cannabis in 2014. And he was anti-cannabis. And I said, THC is going to outrank alcohol. I'm telling you now. And it's safer and it's better. And I pull people off of heroin with THC before it was legal. And he goes, that's not legal. And I went, I don't care if it's not legal. It's working. Mm-hmm. And we went toe to toe. So I'm known as the disruptor in the industry, because I'm very, whatever works for you, go for it, And nobody should be judged because they're taking something or not taking something if it works for them. So, yeah, I'm glad you had me on.
Yeah.
No, I am not a judgmental person at all.
I've met Dr. Drew a few times. Very nice guy. So, where can people find you?
Oh, God. Google me. I'm everywhere. Sober on demand for clients if they want help. If we can't help you, we will refer. We're not just going to say we can't help you. The Addictions Academy for schooling. And then I'm all over every social, so you can find me pretty much anywhere. I'm on Amazon. All the books are on Amazon.
Okay.
Under Dr. Cali Estes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, can I say one thing?
Just kidding.
If anybody is the parent of a child that has lost a child, we do give free classes at the Addictions Academy for intervention and family coaching, no charge, if you've lost a child to addiction. And that's ongoing.
Man, I know someone that lost a child. God, this is in 2008, right here, like right on Sunset. Oh, awful.
Yep.
Like this person was so intelligent and so bright in the room, and it went dark.
Yeah.
It went really dark. Yeah, it is tough.
Yep. So we do that as a give back to all the parents if they want to learn about how it happens or they want to help each other. Yeah, because there's a lot of advice on TikTok that's not good advice. Mm-hmm. So our goal is to try to change that with good quality care. So it's free for anyone who's ever lost a child.
By the way, I in really contemplating writing a book.
You should.
I think I have a good story. And I heard a podcast. It was on the Rick Rubin show. And it was a guy that wrote a book, and he said that the way he really got the book out there was he just went on social and read it.
Yeah.
And read clips of it. And especially now with like TikTok Shop, you can read it and they can buy it right from there. So anyway, just throwing that out there to you.
I was told to do that and I never did it. I need to do that.
Yeah.
I need to.
Well, and because you speak well, and
yeah.
I think it'll come up in your voice. So anyways, thank you so much. It was very nice to meet you. And I would love to have you on again because I think we had a really good dialogue. So thank you.
I would love that. I'd love you to have you on my podcast too.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you.